Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are unpacking one of the most energizing, just absolute kick-you-into-gear pieces of literature ever written. We're talking about Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's legendary poem, A Psalm of Life. Now, right off the bat, we need to talk about the immense gravity of that title. What does it actually mean to call a piece of writing a psalm of life?
When you hear the word psalm, you probably think of a sacred song or a hymn, right? By definition, it's something utilized in worship, usually for praise, thanksgiving, or maybe even lament. It's a heavy, deeply holy, explicitly biblical word. So you kind of have to ask yourself, why in the world would Longfellow take a word usually reserved for the divine and slap it onto a gritty earthly action plan? Well, by calling it a psalm of life, he's intentionally elevating our daily mortal actions. He's taking our struggles, our everyday decisions, and treating them as something genuinely sacred.
Okay, let's really dive into this. Before the poem even officially kicks off, it hands us this absolutely vital piece of context in the subtitle, what the heart of the young man said to the psalmist. Longfellow is setting up a confrontation here. A traditional psalmist, they might sing about the afterlife or sing mournful songs about human frailty and suffering. But this text? This is the response of a vibrant, beating young heart. It's a direct, fiercely defiant rejection of those traditional, mournful views of existence. He's essentially stepping right up and saying, nope, let me tell you my psalm.
So we've got this massive clash of worldviews. On one side, we have the old way of thinking, the perspective this young man is actively fighting against. He literally tells the psalmist not to speak to him in mournful numbers. He completely rejects the idea that life is just some empty dream, or that the human soul simply slumbers. But then, we see Longfellow's aggressive championing of our reality. Life is real, life is earnest. He's pleading with us not to dismiss our time on earth as just a waiting room or some passing illusion. It literally matters. It's tangible. And as he points out, things are absolutely not what they seem if you're just passively sleeping through them all.
Now, what's absolutely fascinating here is how directly Longfellow takes on famous biblical phrasing to reshape this new psalm. I mean, we've all heard the phrase, right? Dust thou art, to dust returnest. It is the ultimate, slightly depressing reminder of our physical mortality. But think about the second half of that quote, was not spoken of the soul. He firmly, undeniably declares that the grave is not our ultimate goal. He's completely separating the inevitable physical decay of the human body from the immortal, enduring nature of the soul. Sure, the body might turn to dust, but that spark inside you? No way. That doesn't belong in the dirt.
All right, so if the grave isn't the finish line, what actually is? Well, Longfellow breaks down his core thesis beautifully. Our destined path, our core purpose as human beings, isn't defined by just chasing fleeting moments of enjoyment. And it definitely isn't defined by wallowing in sorrow. Instead, the focus is pure, relentless momentum. The mandate is to act so that each tomorrow finds us farther than today. It is all about daily progress. Every single day requires an intentional action that pushes the needle forward, completely regardless of whether you're happy or sad in that particular moment. It's honestly kind of like the 19th century version of relentless hustle culture, but, with way higher existential stakes.
And why the massive rush? Why such an emphasis on daily action? Well, because of this chilling but highly motivating reality. Art is long and time is fleeting. There is this rhythmic, almost frantic energy to these lines. Listen to the pacing of his words. Our hearts, though stout and brave, still, like muffled drums, are beating funeral marches to the grave. Boom, boom, boom. Every single heartbeat is a literal countdown timer. You only have a finite number of them in the bank. Our time to act isn't later, it's right now, before that muffled drum stops beating for good.
This intense urgency leads to a pretty definitive choice on the battlefield of life. You can choose to be dumb-driven cattle. And let's be real, absolutely nobody wants to be a passive cow wandering blindly through the bivouac of life. Or you can choose to be a hero in the strife. Longfellow isn't sugarcoating things for us. He isn't pretending life will be easy. He literally calls it a battle, a strife. But he's begging the young man, and really, by extension, all of us, to be heroic actors within it, rather than just passive victims letting life happen to them.
So the absolutely crucial point is, how do we actually execute this heroic life on a daily basis? Longfellow gives us a highly actionable three-part manifesto. Number 1, trust no future, however pleasant. Basically, don't bank on tomorrow, because tomorrow is absolutely not promised. Number 2, let the dead past bury its dead. Stop looking backward and agonizing over what's already gone. And number 3, which is really the ultimate culmination of the whole poem, act. Act in the living present. Notice the repetition there. Act, act. You must do it now, with heart within and God overhead. This, right here, is the true essence of a psalm of life. A sacred, urgent call to immediate present-tense action.
And when you act in the living present with that kind of intensity, something pretty incredible happens. You build a legacy. As Longfellow notes, looking at the lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime. And when we do eventually depart this world, what do? We leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. It's such a powerful, enduring image. By living earnestly, by treating life as a real battlefield and not just some empty dream, we actually have the power to leave a permanent, visible mark on the landscape of human history.
But here's the real kicker. Those footprints aren't just there to serve our own egos. There is an ultimate, completely selfless purpose to this psalm. Those footprints are there so that, perhaps another, sailing o'er life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing, shall take heart again. This is exactly why your actions matter so much. Your legacy actually acts as a beacon of hope for others. Someone else who is struggling, who feels completely shipwrecked by the crushing difficulties of life, might see the path you successfully forged and find the courage to just keep going. Your strength literally becomes their survival guide.
And this brilliantly illustrates Longfellow's final wrap-up, his ultimate blueprint for all of us. Step 1 is to be up and doing. Take action immediately. Step 2, have a heart for any fate. Build that mental resilience for whatever crazy things the universe throws at you. Step 3, still achieving, still pursuing. Never lose that forward momentum we've been talking about. And finally, step 4, learn to labor and to wait. That last part perfectly balances the intense, ticking clock urgency of the beating drum with the patience required to build true greatness over time. It's just a flawless formula for an impactful life.
So we've completely decoded Longfellow's sacred manifesto. We've seen exactly why he chose to elevate our daily mortal struggles to the holy, revered status of a psalm. Now the text turns its gaze directly onto you. Think about the muffled drum beats of your own heart and the actions you're taking today. What footprints will you leave on the sands of time for the next shipwrecked brother? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep pushing forward, and I'll catch you next time.